we are going to work on an art craft for Palm Sunday. You should have received two pieces of paper, one that looks like this and one small green piece of paper that has Bible verses on it. You'll need both of those materials, your crayons, and some scissors to get started for this project. When you have all of those materials, let's go ahead and take a look at the instructions together. Okay, let's get started by first working with this white piece of paper. This is actually going to represent a palm branch, but you only have half of it for right now. The way we're going to use this actually is you will start by coloring it in. So imagine that you're looking at a palm branch. Most of a palm branch is green. There can be some parts of it though that have a little bit of yellow and brown if it's dried on the edge. So for example, if I have my palm branch, I might want to make sure I have a lot of vibrant green, but then at the edges, I can make it look like it's a little bit drying out just at the very tips, because that does happen naturally for palm branches. So maybe I'm going to add just a little bit of some of the dried edges right there. You don't have to do that. That's your choice. You can also even add a little bit of yellow, because we also see that can be true for some of those palm branches. Some of them do look a little bit of yellowish as they're kind of drying out on the edge. And this will help our palm branch to look a little bit more realistic. Okay, so you can color it how you would like it to look. Now I know that you only have one half of the palm branch here, so you're going to color in this one. And on the other side, if you just want to start coloring in the green but not do all the ending colors, that's totally fine, because then the next step, you'll know where those tips are for the palm branch. Okay, so once it's colored, you're going to go ahead and fold it along this dotted line. Just try the best that you can to get it along that dotted line. Now that you have it folded, here is when you're actually going to go ahead and do your cutting. So you're going to start here with your scissors, and my advice is to actually start by cutting around the outside shape of that palm branch. So start by cutting around here. Make sure you have the fold on one side and you're cutting on the outside here of this palm branch. Okay, once you've done that big kind of oval shape cut, then you can go back and do some more cutting on the inside if you want to make it look a little bit more like how palm branches have very narrow leaves. So you can do that by cutting inside, and if you do that, it might look something like this. Where you actually see that I've been cutting inside to get some of those branches to look like they're very narrow. Now, if you don't want to cut all the way to the center, that's fine, because here's what sometimes has happened. If you cut a little bit too closely to this point right here, you should be very careful, because what might end up happening is if you cut all the way through, you're going to actually cut your palm branch and it will get smaller. So each time, if you end up cutting all the way through on accident, you might end up with a very, very tiny little palm branch, which is okay. But if you don't want that to happen, my advice is maybe don't cut all the way in. Maybe just do smaller cuts, just shorter ones, kind of through the center right there. And you can decide, of course, if that's enough for you. Okay, so it'll end up looking a little bit more like that. And then you'll be able to open up your palm branch and you'll end up with two sides. And then once it's all the way opened up, you can finish coloring the tips if you would like to. And then the very last step is to simply take your memory verse that has these Bible verses on it and then glue it onto your palm branch. Now, I think the widest part of the palm branch, maybe around here, you can just glue it onto the back of the palm branch. And if it shows through, like it would right here, that's totally fine, because the paper is green so that it'll match your palm branch anyway. Okay, so that's your craft for Palm Sunday, and the memory verse says, "A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and those who followed shouted, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest heaven!" Matthew 21, verses 8 and 9. That's our memory verse. I shortened it a little bit by cutting out some of those sections, but that's the whole verse all together.